2022 was the bottom out tank season. Start fresh. Like totally circle the wagons and start it over. You got a new general manager, new head coach, new team president. Like, let's wipe the slate clean. All right, fine, did that. But 2023 was supposed to represent a chance at a major turnaround for the Bears. And if the focus, thought, and priority wasn't there, then you're doing it wrong, and you were wrong. Period. No excuse. They had the number 1 overall pick that you knew could be leveraged for a massive haul, which it was, effectively, I might add. They had the most cap space in the league. I think it was something over $90 million. And 2023 was going to be Justin Fields' big prove-it year. He was going to take this big leap forward. And what happened, folks? The shirt says it all, but I'm going to say it for the visually impaired. Bears football! That's what happened. Bears football! And boy, was it an ugly start to the season. The Chicago Bears, so much hope, so much reason for optimism. No. The mediocrity of the McCaskey way was obvious from the very beginning. The Bears started 0-4, which included a standard ugly opening week loss to the Packers because, of course, Bears football. Letting Baker Mayfield in week 2 throw for over 300 yards and then gutless gutsy, put him up, I'm going to do it. I'm still the offensive coordinator. I don't care what they say. I know what I'm doing. Gonna catch them off guard. Gonna shock the world. Screen pass. Justin Fields, screen pass. Oh, pick 6, Shaq Barrett. Yay! Then in the middle there, you've got defensive coordinator Alan Williams resigning. Don't ask, because God knows the Chicago media barely bothered to fucking ask or follow up on it. And don't ask HR, for God's sakes. Which then they had the 41-10 drubbing by the Chiefs, which was not even as close as the final score might indicate. And then to top it all off, they pissed away a 21-point second-half lead to the Denver Broncos of all teams. The Broncos. Right there, like that's the season. Now, if you're a super duper dopey Bears football fan optimist, which a lot of folks are card-carrying Kool-Aid drinkers for the McCaskey way, you're trying to spin that 7-6 stretch the rest of the way as some type of positive. And look, there certainly were some positives this year. DJ Moore, who came as part of that trade package for the number 1 overall pick with Carolina, was an absolute stud. He was everything the Bears could have asked for and more. The rookie class was solid. I won't go so far as to say it was great or spectacular because I don't think it was. But you can look at a number of those guys and you see starting potential long-term in the league. That's solid. Maybe part of the theme of the polls drafting so far is quite a few solids, nothing superstar spectacular. The Bears' defense was, a mixed bag. Their run defense, though, was elite. Because of course it was. When you think of Bears football, what do you think of? Running the ball and stopping the run. TJ Edwards came on strong after kind of a rough start the first couple games and played at the high level I would have expected TJ Edwards to play at. But of course, dumb dick Ryan Poles invested a ton of money in off-ball linebackers in the offseason for reasons that are still unbeknownst to me. It didn't work. I don't give a shit what you say. The Montez Sweat trade made mid-season gave them an NFL starting caliber edge rusher. And regardless of what I think about that trade at the time and the package and what that represents, at the end of the day, they've got one legit NFL starter in the defensive line now in Montez Sweat. So if you look at some of those positives, like the rookie class came along as the year went by, DJ Moore is everything you could have wanted and more. Like there were positives, right? But let's take a quick step back. Those 7 wins really aren't anything to hang your hat on when you consider who they beat. It was the Commanders, the Raiders, the Panthers, the Vikings, the Lions, the Cardinals, the Falcons, of which one of those teams had a winning record, of which one of those teams went to the playoffs. One of those teams had a legit quarterback. And that was all the Lions, right? And let's not mention the first time that they played the Lions, where they gave up a double-digit lead with less than 4 minutes to go. And you look at even deeper, another step down in terms of those wins. You got the Commanders, the Raiders, the Panthers, the Falcons. They all either fire their coaches during the season or after the season. And a number of these teams on top of that, they're facing scrub rookie young quarterbacks like Bryce Young or Sam Howell, facing retread, washed up, never has-beens like Brian Hoyer and Josh Dobbs and freaking Taylor Heineke. Like, let's not break out the anointing oil too much. Let's put the hopium back in the fucking jar, shall we? And they even lost to a team relatively convincingly on Sunday night, mind you, in the Chargers, that did fire their coach during the season. But it gets worse because, of course, Bears football! Justin Fields didn't really progress in 2023. And in fact, he missed more games. He missed 4 with the thumb injury. You look at his numbers and you say, woof, that's something you're supposed to get excited about? That's something you're supposed to have a cult-like mentality with defending? I don't fucking get it. He's freaking Danny Dimes with more explosive talent. That's what he is. That's what he's shown. The offense was typical, bad. 20th in total yards, 27th in passing yards, 18th in points scored because, of course, Bears football. The defense was 25th against the pass, number 1 against the run, 20th in points allowed. So you got a defense-minded head coach, a dumbass general manager who's the wrong type of fat. He's not the cheeseburgers, ribs, steak kind of fat that you really like. He's the Twinkies and ding-dongs, oh, the cream filling fills my veins type of fat. Sits there and overly prioritizes the defense versus the offense, and the defense still stinks. And again, this whole shit of, well, the defense started to figure it out post-sweat trade. Did they really, folks? Did they really? Give me a break. When you sit there and look back at this Bears season and you realize that they turned the most cap space, the top overall pick, into 4 more wins than what they had the previous year in a tank year, that's shitty. I don't want to hear your, well, they blew several big leads. They could have won like 10 games and been a playoff team. That shit didn't happen. The other games that they won that they could have very easily lost, you could be talking about a 3, 4, 5 win team. See, this shit can go both ways. As Bill Parcells used to say, you ultimately are what your record says you are. The Bears 7-10. Suck to mediocre. You know the feeling. Bears football! That is not reason for hope or optimism. 2023 was a bad outcome. Especially when you look at teams like the Colts, who had the 4th overall pick in the 2023 draft. They draft Anthony Richardson, looks promising, but keeps getting hurt and ends up missing most of the season due to shoulder injury. They ride Gardner Minshew to a winning record in a Week 18 game against the Texans with a playoff spot on the line and eventually what proved to be a division title on the line. Meanwhile, the Houston Texans had a rookie quarterback, a rookie head coach, were tied with the Bears for the worst record in the league, and if they don't win in Week 18 the season before against the Colts, they have the top overall pick. They go with DeMeco Ryans, their rookie head coach, their rookie quarterback, and C.J. Stroud, and they win 10 games. They win their division, and oh, by the way, as of now, they've won 1 playoff game. So please miss me with this bullshit about what did you expect coming out of a tank season. 7-10 is not the standard. By any objective measure, Ryan Poles failed. Matt Eberflus sucks. And this Wizard of Oz cast of crap characters should have been sent packing, but of course they fucking weren't. In an off-season where you see the coaching candidates, that pool is damn good. When you've seen teams move on from coaches like Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll and even Mike Vrabel, and you look at the Bears and you say, what are you doing? We're going to run it back. Boy, that's Chicago sports. That's Bears football. That's the type of leadership in an organization that Jerry Reinsdorf could drool over. If you want to talk about positive things for this organization, unless you're a part of the Fields cult, then I don't know how much you think of this as really being a positive thing. The most positive thing this year was the Panthers kept pounding all the way to the top pick, which, oh, by the way, is owned by the Bears. So now you're in a spot for the second consecutive year. The Chicago Bears own the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. And we now approach a situation where, I felt like I said this last year, but it's even more true this year. This is arguably the most important offseason for the Bears in my lifetime and perhaps in their organization's history. What's the decision with Justin Fields? Do they try to con themselves into thinking reality is anything other than they've got a more explosive Danny Dimes? Or do they do the right thing and reset the quarterback clock? Or do they sit there and do the wrong thing and draft a quarterback with a potentially lame duck head coach and general manager, see Justin Fields? See Mitchell Trubisky in terms of the lame duck head coach. See Rex Grossman in terms of the lame duck head coach. We've been down this path before. Which makes it so astounding that they look in a division where you say, hey, if Dan Campbell was fired by the Lions, if Matt LaFleur was fired by the Packers, if Kevin O'Connell was fired by the Vikings, if those 3 head coaches hit the market, other NFL teams would be interested in them for head coaching jobs. Matt Eberflus gets fired on the Bears, and he's struggling to find a defensive coordinator job. So you've got, objectively, the worst coach in the division, the worst quarterback in the division, the worst results in the division. Excuse me, why the fuck should I be positive about any of this shit? So what do you do with Justin Fields? What does the team do with the number 1 pick overall and the other pick that they have, which is 9? So you got 2 picks in the top 10. In terms of that cap space that you're going to have, you've got $50 million or so now, and you could cut at Cody Whitehair and bareback Eddie Jackson and get that number to about $70 million. You're going to keep Jalen Johnson? You're going to franchise tag him? You're going to give him a long-term deal? What if DJ Moore wants to get paid? He certainly should want to get paid, and I'd expect him to want to get paid. And he should expect to be able to get paid based off of the season that he had. I guess it's going to be a very pivotal offseason. And Ryan Poles, who's got another shot here, he's got to get this shit right. Because if he does, things could change very quickly for the Bears. And if he doesn't, it's going to be even more of a gut punch than previous failed regimes. Now, as you look to this offseason, you say, what do the team needs for the Bears? Well, of course, number 1 is competent ownership. We know that ain't happening. Number 2 is a team president that isn't just there for a stadium deal. Because, of course, Bears football! That's what a team president's supposed to do. Stadium deal first and foremost, not win fucking football games. Number 3, a general manager that actually knows what they're doing. Those first 2 we know the Bears don't have. Number 3 is highly questionable to me at this point. A head coach with a brain, we know they don't have that. If I only had a brain. Number 5, an offensive coordinator that knows how to elevate offensive talent. Side note, as much as Luke Getsy drove me nuts, the gutless Getsy wonder himself, I am going to miss my cowardly lion shtick with them. Put him up. I'm the offensive coordinator. I know what I'm doing. I got courage. I've been working on it all week. I got something special. 1st and 10, halfback dive. 2nd and 10, halfback pitch. 3rd and 9, wide receiver screen. Oh, by the way, they also need a defensive coordinator, preferably one that doesn't get into HR trouble in the company. So after you get past that, half of which they're not going to fucking do because they can't replace the ownership. They're not going to replace the team president. They've retained the head coach that doesn't have a brain. He's a fucking scarecrow. You got 50-50 on whether Ryan Poles is any good at his fucking job or not. Like, now you get to the actual players, and number 1 is quarterback. Look, I know there are a lot of Field supporters and a lot of Field's cult members, and they can be distinguished somewhat. But the reality is, in 3 years, we just have not seen enough. And if your argument at this point is you need to put even more talent around Justin Fields, DJ Moore's not garbage the last time I checked. Cole Kmet's not garbage the last time I checked. That running back room for the Bears is not garbage the last time I checked. That offensive line was improved in 2023. It's not elite, but it's not garbage. Like, this was not a terrible situation that Justin Fields was in, and his play was not good enough. Folks, you got to raise the bar. You got to raise the standards. And again, I say this, and this is more directly pointed at the Fields Colt members. If I have had to become accustomed to accepting very early on that a number of very different white quarterbacks suck for the Bears, you can accept after 3 years that a non-white quarterback also sucks. Let's grow up a little bit, okay? Let's focus on the football factors and not the non-football shit that really doesn't matter. Because it doesn't really matter. I don't care if this green guy was half green, half purple. Does he play quarterback at a high level, and does he lead his team to victory? Justin Fields does not do that nearly consistently enough. He has not grown nearly enough as a pocket passer, like full stop. Now, everybody automatically associates that with saying, hey, that means that you want to draft Caleb Williams. And when did I ever fucking say that? The Bears need to come out of this draft with a quarterback, and that may come at number 1 overall, and that may very well not be or should not be Caleb Williams. I've got my concerns right now. But quarterback has to be the biggest need, because it's what they don't have, and Justin Fields just is not him. Stop pretending like he is. Stop acting like he is. Stop lying to yourself and others, trying to convince others, and more importantly yourself, that he is him. At this point in time, you have to do that much arguing and convincing. You're wrong. You know better. Cut the bullshit. Let's be adults about it. Nice kid, don't give a shit. Works hard, apparently doesn't work at the right things nearly enough. Same story with Trubisky. Like, who gives a shit at the end of the day? But outside of quarterback, which is the given number 1 need, indisputable number 1 need, they don't fucking have a quarterback. Just stop. After that, though, they need another wide receiver. Because you got Darnell Mooney as a free agent. Tyler Scott didn't show you enough to make you think that he could be a wide receiver 2. He looks right now more like a wide receiver 4 or 5 guy. Highly doubt they're going to bring back Mooney, and even if they did, he's not going to do shit with Justin Fields. That's been proven by now. You need another weapon on the outside to complement DJ Moore, to also open up things over the middle for Cole Kmet. They have to. Like, it feels almost every bit as important as a quarterback. And then center. You'll notice I'm starting on the offensive side of the ball, which is where you win games now in the modern NFL, especially when it matters. This is where good general managers focus on, and Ryan Poles, of course, focuses on a defense-first approach because Bears football! But they need a center. Like, the fact that he went into 2023 staring down the barrel of a combination of Lucas Patrick and Cody Whitehair at center, when everybody knew goddamn good and well that was a crappy combo, when everybody knew goddamn good and well that that was going to come back to bite them, should be a fireable offense in and of itself. Now, you have to come out of the draft/free agency addressing quarterback, wide receiver, center. Running back, they need a marquee back. Roschon ain't that dude. Khalil Herbert ain't that dude. Dante Foreman, not that dude. They need a real alpha difference back. They also need some type of depth inside at guard, because Nate Davis sucks, but based off of his cap hit for 2024, especially his dead cap use, presume he's back. Tevin Jenkins is really good when he's healthy, but boy, that when he's healthy is a big caveat. What happens if one of them goes down and or one of them is ineffective? You need some depth there. And then you got to beef up the defensive line. Like I said, you got one real quality starter there in Montez Sweat. Andrew Billings is a limited, nice, effective run-stuffing role player, but that's all he is. You need help on that defensive line. For a team that had so many assets going into last offseason to come into this offseason with so many needs, should have people really asking some tough questions about Ryan Poles. Of course they won't, because Bears football, and now the doomsday scenario is engaged. The general manager and the head coach are back. They're potentially drafting a new quarterback to bring in for a potentially lame duck coach. And or what happens is they sit there and they win 10 games, they make the playoffs, and everybody sings Kumbaya fucking ya. And then you give everybody contract extensions, and then in 2026 we're talking about the need to start all fucking over again. We've been here, we've done this. It's the same old sorry ass, stupid ass Bears.